Ecology is a branch of science which deals with study of ecosystem. Ecosystem is a basic functional unit present in a particular area. For example, there are a lot many ecosystems are there on land. There's a desert ecosystem. There is a forest ecosystem which is composed of a variety of forest in variety of areas across the globe. Then you can have this tundra forest. You can have polar ecosystem. You can have grassland ecosystem. So there are so many ecosystems are there. If you consider aquatic ecosystem, they you can categorize them in freshwater, which includes lake, rivers, and etc. Then you can have estuarine and you can have marine. Okay, so if you take any ecosystem, it is called as the basic functional unit because there is a kind of energy flow, nutrient recycling into the ecosystem, and that is a kind of self-sustaining. That's why you can call it as a functional unit. Each ecosystem is composed of, you take for that matter, take any ecosystem, it is composed of living parameters, living factors and non-living factors. So living factors includes all types of plants and animals, which are right from microscopic bacteria to huge elephant, small single-celled plants to huge conifers, tallest conifers. So these are living components. Then you can have non-living components, which includes various physico-chemical parameters like air, moisture, water, soil, organic, non-organic components, minerals, nutrients, and so many. Even wind, air, light, altitude, everything. Okay, so if you consider only living world, there are interactions happening between them. In case of non-living components, there are interactions happening within themselves. Okay, for example, if temperature is high, it will cause more vaporization and more kind of wind flow and moisture carry and other stuff. Okay, so there's an interaction happening between non-living parameters, interaction happening between living parameters, and there is an interaction between living and non-living. So all these study comprise ecology. The living parameters, we call them as a biotic parameters, and non-living parameters, we call them as abiotic parameters. Okay, so as I already told you, there are different types of ecosystem. For example, there's a desert ecosystem, there's a grassland ecosystem. Okay, so right now what we are going to see now is a landscape ecology. Okay, landscape. Okay, so the study which deals with the various components present in a particular landscape. Okay, so for that matter, you can take any landscape. It will be made up of variety of ecosystem. It can be a mono or single type of ecosystem, or you can have multiple or mosaic ecosystem. Okay, so these ecosystems, they play a vital role in deciding, or I should say regulating the density and diversity of living organisms. Okay, so particular ecosystem can favor particular set of organisms. For if you consider grassland ecosystem, it will favor a lot of animals like with the tall neck and those who can run fast. And on the other hand, if you consider more of a forest ecosystem, the sprinters will be less and more of a climbers. Okay, but in a particular landscape, you can have uh, variety of ecosystems. Okay, so in particular area, you can have a bit of grassland surrounded by forest, or forest surrounded by grassland. In grassland, in forest, you will get aquatic ecosystem. Okay, so there's a grassland ecosystem, there's a forest ecosystem, and there is a aquatic ecosystem. Okay, so as you move little bit away from forest, you will hit a grassland. You move away from grassland, you'll start getting more of a arid zone. Okay, sub-arid or arid, and finally you'll get a hot desert. So all these play vital role in density and diversity of organisms, and for that matter, it restricts or regulates the distribution of organisms as well. For example, organisms which are particular to grassland habitat, you may not get them in, you will not get them in forest. For example, giraffe. It is a typical savanna animal. You may find giraffe somewhere in between. There will be a kind of intersection between forest and grassland. So in that region also you are going to get giraffe, because giraffe will not restrict itself to grassland. It will visit foresty patches. So there will be some trees on which the giraffe would like to feed on. Okay, but giraffe will not venture deep into forest. It is of no use. Okay, on the other hand, if you see, for example, let's say arboreal animals like uh, chimpanzee. Chimpanzee are of course on both, but let's say any kind of macaque. Okay, the macaque is a particularly arboreal animal. It is found on trees. So that animal or a macaque cannot come out in grassland, because macaque is adapted to particular set of um, parameters which are present in forest. I should say it is the other way around. Because these parameters are present in the forest, the macaque has become so. Okay, there's one species of kind of primate, I would say, that is a langur, black-faced langur, which is found in oriental region in India. Now that species, although it is a primate, it is found, I would say, equally on land as well as trees, but it is not very efficient on trees like other macaques. It runs very well on land. Okay, so of course, because it is heavy. Okay, so that species you will find along more of intersection of forest and open area. Okay, they are not to be found in pure grassland. They are not to be found in very dense forest. Of course, they are found because they can adapt themselves, but they are more towards the species which can adapt to open area as well. Okay, so if you see, for example, orangutan, which is a purely arboreal species, so it goes, rather it travels in a particular area from tree to tree. Or gibbon, a macaque which is purely arboreal. So that macaque is not going to be present in a grassland. Forget about desert. Okay. Now that feature of a gibbon, if you should see gibbon, it has very long hands, longer than probably its body. Okay. Uh, Now that gibbon is very agile on trees, on branches. Okay, like a Tarzan. And it comes rarely to ground, very rarely, but it is very susceptible over there because it cannot run, it cannot walk because its paws, front and hind paws, uh, back leg paws, I should say, they are made up for grabbing. Okay, now it is because of the trees which are present in a forest habitat. Okay, now over the period of so many thousands and millions of years, the gibbon has become like that. Okay, so in a particular area, you can say a landscape, you can have a plethora of habitat. Okay, so study of those habitat as a whole, you can call it as a landscape ecology. Okay, you are not going to study, for example, I told you in a particular landscape you can have forest, you can have grassland, you can have desert or semi arid zone. So you are not studying a particular ecosystem, but you are studying a group of ecosystems which are present in particular area. Okay, so let's say in particular landscape there's a forest in one area, maybe 40% is forest, and then 60 another 40 45% 50% is grassland, and remaining 10% is non-natural habitat like agriculture, man-made of course I should say, agriculture habitat, farmland, or a township or a city. Now that becomes a comprehensive study of that particular area. So there will be some patches where there will be human habitations, surrounding which there will be some farmlands, and surrounding which there will be a forest. Now study of these areas in toto, you can call it as a landscape ecology. Okay, so there was a scientist called as a Troll who defined this landscape ecology. I'll just read that definition. Landscape ecology. It is defined by Troll in 1968. Okay, 1968. Now, what it says is landscape ecology is the study of entire complex cause effect network between living communities and their environmental conditions which prevail in a specific section of landscape. So basically I would say uh, uh, landscape ecology is a enlarged version or magnified version of ecology, because ecology you'll be studying a particular habitat. In landscape ecology you're studying a whole a whole landscape. Okay, now just to give you an idea how you can I mean imagine when you do trekking and when you go for a hike, uh, from the mountain top or hilltop, you will see that there is a landscape open in front of you, and in one corner like you will see you are you're sitting on a hill, on a cliff. The entire mountain slope and little bit of flat land is covered with forest. Beyond that, you will get a bit of farmland or agriculture ecosystem, and there will be some of the human habitation in the form of hamlets situated. And beyond that, if you see, you are going to see some small township, a small village, and maybe a city or maybe a town or whatever. Okay, now studying everything, this everything is called as landscape ecology. Okay, because this mountain on which I am sitting now is going to impact the forest inhabitant of living in these mountains. It is going to impact the grassland, sorry, farmland which is present, just which is fringing around the forest, which is going to impact the humans which are staying within the forest, which is going to impact the water which that city is going to drink, because it is going from the mountain. Okay, so all these things is a landscape ecology. Okay, the hamlet people or the tribal people, they are like, they will be doing agriculture. Parallelly, they will be having some livestock. Okay, parallelly, they will be hunter gatherers as well. And of course, nowadays, very few places you will see uh, true tribals, because nowadays a lot of population explosion is there, and because of that, a lot of habitat loss is there, and parallelly there is urbanization which is entering into you know uh, those wild areas. So that is impacting overall lifestyle of those people. But anyway, um, uh, I hope I'm clear what is landscape ecology. Okay, now landscape ecology, you can I mean, there are two components in landscape ecology, like pattern. Pattern is like, maybe particular landscape is made up of I would say a composition. Okay, a particular landscape is made up of um, more of a grassland, more of a forest, or more of agriculture, and very less forest, whatever. So that is a pattern in that. And another one is a process. Okay, so remember these two terminologies, and of course these terminologies or these things, they are related to each other. Okay, now process means what? It is like, you know uh, for example, there is a ecological succession. Hmm? So, in particular area, there is of course, we are thinking when there is no human interference. So, there is a set of trees or set of grasses or set of mosses which will come one after other. It The ecosystem will reach climax, then it will again it will go down. Okay, now when we are living in a world where every corner is dominated by supposed to be dominated by humans, affected by humans, what happens is more and more areas are getting wild areas getting converted into farmlands initially, and then farmlands slowly get converted to human habitation, and you start getting residential complexes coming up, like you'll see in Mumbai. More and more forest is getting converted, more and more forest is getting denotified, getting converted into private land. The landowner sells that land to a particular builder, and you get a complex residential complex coming over there. Okay, so that is also a process. Okay, now just to make it more natural, I'll tell you another example. Suppose there is a city or residential complex that has come up near a lake, or there's a slum near the area near the lake. Okay, now in developing countries, underdeveloped countries, there is a loss. There is a there is, I would say, the sanitation is not at good level. So lot of anthropogenic or human waste goes into that lake. Okay, so liquid outlet, I should say, from human hut or a human house, the waste that is released in the lake. And human waste consists lot of phosphate, and this phosphate is a kind of nutrient, because of which there will be a process called as the eutrophication in a lake. Means the lake water will start becoming more and more green, because a lot of algae phytoplanktons will grow into it. Finally, The aquatic weeds will increase in size. There will be floating hydrophytes, which are like hyacinth, which are going to cover the water surface. And like you will see, if you go to Kaziranga in Assam, if you see Powai Lake in Mumbai, there are a lot many lakes in India. You'll find they are getting slowly covered. I mean, the water surface is getting covered by these water hyacinth or any aquatic hydro that is a plant. So they are growing in excess because we are releasing a lot of phosphate nutrients into the water. Okay, now that is a process which is happening in a particular area. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So we are going to see now a different aspect, or we are going to delve deep into ecosystem landscape ecology. Of course, not very deep, but because ecology is very so to say a complex science, because you cannot consider a single phenomenon as a separate phenomenon, because it has connection to either two biotic component or non-biotic component or abiotic component or both. Okay, like increase in number of birds, you cannot see only it as a number of increased number of birds. There is some cause by which this effect has happened. Okay, so of course when I say landscape ecology, it can deal with aquatic ecology, it can deal with mountain ecology, it can deal with agro ecosystems, it can deal with industrialization, it can deal with forest ecology, and so on. But here we are going to see uh, uh, only I would say superficially how landscape ecosystem goes.